Alrighty, so in today's video, we're taking a look at these. These are the Aikon prop adapters for the DJI FPV drone. They essentially allow you to run any type of prop on the FPV drone. Let's get started.
When I blow up, I'ma soar high like Peter Pan. In real life, be living out my dreams. If I'm waking up, it's in a
What's good, everybody? Ken here. You're watching OriginaldoBo, and over the past couple of days, I received a lot of questions about these props and how I got them on the drone. Well, I'm using the Aikon prop adapters. Now I gotta give a big shout out to my buddy Jake for actually sending me the link to buy these, even though he knew that there could be a possibility that they wouldn't be available if he didn't buy them. But I went ahead and ordered a set. I got them from Get FPV, and they arrived in like a day, because obviously I'm in Florida and they're down in Bradenton, so really quick. Anyways, so these bolt directly to the top of my existing motors. Some people thought that I replaced the motors, and that's just not the case at all. Although these do give it a look like there is a new motor. And the reason being is because there is 3 bolts on the top of your motor. If you look at it closely, you can take your existing mounting hardware directly off the FPV drone. When you do that, you can then mount these new adapters directly to the top. They mount with just 3 bolts. It's a pretty simple process to do that. And after that's all said and done, you now have a single bolt in which you can mount any type of prop that you would normally mount on top of one of the FPV drones. Okay, so the way these work is there's a little grippy piece at the very bottom of these adapters. You have to really forcefully push the props down. It is a little bit stiff, so don't get, disheartened by it all. Just keep pushing, but make sure you push the prop all the way down. Don't try to turn the bolt to push it down, because it's not gonna work like that. And don't put anything on the motor to try to grip it and hold it like a wrench or something. Don't do that. Just keep using your hand, twisting and working its way down, and it should get tight enough to where you'll be able to take off and fly. Now, you do need to make a good mention of your prop orientation. Take a photo of your props and pay attention to your right rear prop. Whatever the leading edge of your right rear prop is, that's gonna be sort of your baseline. You want your right rear and your left front to match as far as their leading edges go. And then your right front and left rear should match as well. I'll include a card up here, so that way you can take a look at the orientation if you want to screenshot this or pause the video so you can take a note of this. I went ahead and made a quick and easy diagram so you can follow along when you go to do this. All right, so once the props are installed, do a test hover before you go out into the field to make sure that the drone takes off and it doesn't flip over. If the props are on wrong, the drone's gonna flip over, and you'll just need to reverse the props and make sure that they're put in the correct orientation. All right, so how did it fly with the quad blade props? Well, exceptional. And it's probably gonna be the props that I keep on here the most, because it gave me the most amount of grip, and I felt like I didn't have that much of a compromise as far as power goes. Now, of course, you're gonna lose a little bit in the punch out just because the pitch of these props isn't quite as aggressive as what was on the FPV drone originally, but I'll also include links in the description for props that I have tested with these adapters that are almost equivalent, but give a little bit better performance. Now, the Ethix S5 props are a prop that I would highly recommend checking out. It does give you a 5-degree pitch, and for my testing, those worked really, really well. A couple of other props from HQ do have a 4-degree pitch and gives you pretty much equivalent performance. I probably wouldn't go much bigger than a 5.1-inch prop on here. Otherwise, you're gonna run the risk of possibly hitting one of the arms. 5.1 is probably all I would put on this, but it was more than enough to give me a really, really nice, smooth performing flight. Like I said, I flew this over water and it felt great. I didn't have any concerns. And when I was done, I looked over the footage and the footage looked really, really smooth. I didn't notice any micro jitters or vibrations, which I was getting out of some cheaper props that I bought directly as direct fit replacements for this. So that's a good thing. The other thing I want to make mention of is the motors were cool to the touch with these props. The quad blade props, motors were cool to the touch. With the Ethix S5 props, they were cool to the touch. So, and I'm in Florida and it's typically pretty hot here. So for me to tell you that they were cool to the touch is honestly saying something. Now, it's all not sunshine and rainbows, because there are some sacrifices you are going to make by purchasing these, such as the fact that you're not going to be able to quickly remove these from your drone. So if you wanted to take these off to travel, you got to unscrew each of these props, which could be a pain in the ass. but it's just something worth mentioning. The other thing to consider is that if you crash this drone due to the props not being tight or something like that, DJI is probably not going to stand behind their warranty because you mounted something that was aftermarket. That's just a given, but I have to make mention of that. All right, so there you go. So the benefits is that you can change your props to a different pitch now. You have a more durable selection of props and a much more wider array of props along with the price of the props. And then of course you have your negatives, which is that it's not going to be easily able to be removed and there's no warranty. Unfortunately, the pros weigh out the cons in this scenario, so that's the reason why I'll continue using these. But if you're curious about these, there will be a link in the description below where you can pick these up for yourself. And if you're curious about this 3PV mount that I have on here, there's a link in the description for that as well. This is something that can house a GoPro, can house an Insta-1, and basically it can allow you to get some interesting shots and trick people into believing that you're a backwards flying machine. All right, that's gonna do it for today's video. If you enjoyed, hit the like button. If you didn't, well, you didn't, and I will never know anyways. So, all right, I'll see you next time. Stay original.